After the break, we'll take a look at...
Pardon the interruption for a very important news update.
This is no holds barred. We go hard, we go harder. In the ring, on the mic, every shot is your holds barred. Feel the charge, feel the armor. Bobby Josh in your brain, turn it up, go farther, farther, farther. Theme hits loud, then the grips come off. Call out the card, call every payoff. Botches, legends, titles, and heat. Pay-per-view nights, run it back, repeat. They slam, we analyze. Move for move, every feud, every bruise, every gleaming moon. This is no holds barred. We go hard, we go harder. In the ring, on the mic, every shot is your holds barred. Feel the charge, feel the armor. Bobby Josh in your brain, turn it up, go farther. Turn it up, go farther. Turn it up, go farther. No script, just true. Every jab breaks through. From the bell to the brawl. Name the show. We want it all. 1, 2, 3. This is no holds barred. We go hard, we go harder. In the ring, on the mic, every shot is no holds barred. Feel the charge, feel the armor. Bobby Josh in your brain, turn it up, go farther. Turn it up, go farther. Turn it up, go farther.
All right, what is up, everybody? Good evening, happy Sunday. Welcome to the latest edition of the WrestleMania Rewind series here on the No Holds Barred Wrestling channel and FTSN from the No Holds Barred Wrestling podcast. I'm Bobby Melendez, and that's my tag team partner, Josh Kimmel. We're excited to talk about WrestleMania 2000. Man, we are in the cusp of it here, man. No Taker, no Austin, no problem. That's what I call this WrestleMania. This one was a fun one. So I'm really looking forward to talking to Josh about this. Welcome everybody who is coming in. Josh is up past 8 again. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Josh, brother, how are you?
Man, I am tired. I was at flag football tournaments all day, and I'm ready to talk wrestling because, Bobby, this might be. I set a hard time. Just let everyone know I set a hard time. I got to be out. I'm that kind of. When you invite me to the green room at the Tonight Show, I request all green M&Ms. That's what I do. So I tell Bobby, hard out at a certain time. But man, now that I know you love this show, I wish we had more time because this might be the worst modern day WrestleMania I've seen so far.
Whoa! Wow!
So far.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
It was brutal to get through. It was boring at times.
Damn.
It's a little bit longer than that, but boring at times. Embarrassing at times. It's just I didn't have fun, so I'm really excited to hear what you thought was fun, and I can tell you what I thought sucked. So, but there were some things. There were some things that I'm like, oh, that was cool, right? But mostly a negative show. I feel like we look at this and go, wow, that was our childhood. That was cool. But I looked at it as if they presented this today and I bought this and I spent $50 on this, I'd be pretty upset. I think 3 embarrassing. People said, no, Danhausen and Joe Hendry was the worst segment ever. I think this had 3 or 4 segments worse than that.
Fair. I think I have an idea where you may go with one. So, because there are sometimes it's kind of like, okay. But we understand, you got to understand this is Russo's still here. He hasn't left the WCW yet. So this is a lot of Russo TV. You talk about the bathroom stall with Al Snow and, you got the Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah and things like that. So I kind of understand where you're going because those might be the ones that are forgettable. Those are the forgettable things that you're like, let's let that go. But first, let's go ahead and we'll start off with the start of the show, which is Big Boss Man, Ball Buchanan taking on Godfather and D'Lo Brown with the Ho Train and all this. This one, again, I just got done watching the Dark Side of the Ring on Big Boss Man, which, was really good for, talking about his story and what he went through and how his career was up here and it kind of went down there. And this is kind of in that situation. We just went through WrestleMania where he was hung on the cage and in the Hell in a Cell. So we see where he is now. I'll be honest. And well, actually, Christian, the triangle ladder match that we're gonna get to later. But I'm watching that, man. Where is this tag team wrestling that used to be back in the day? I mean, even that match right there, Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan versus the Godfather. Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan, man, that they had chemistry. And Bull Buchanan, for that beast of a guy, man, that dude was huge, and for how he moved and everything, I mean, that was impressive. And obviously he's a no. We don't remember who he is, but I keep away going like, man, that was some decent tag team wrestling for this first match, and especially for those two guys. I would have loved to see or know what happened with that tag team. Obviously, it didn't last long, but those guys got my attention real quick. I enjoyed that match. Quickly, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, so Big Boss Man to me was always like, this guy's boring. Always, to me. Because I'm like, oh, he's a cop. Like, I hated gimmicks. That's why I like WCW so much, because they were real people. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Chris Jericho. You had your cruiserweights, but when I see a wrestler called The Godfather, Big Boss Man, just things like that, I always thought, this is The Undertaker. This is corny, bro. WWF's corny. But I was forced to watch it because Chris Jericho's now there. So I knew, I was aware of this pay-per-view. I was aware of everything that happened. So now we're in the WWF where I know what's going on. But okay, back to Boss Man. So that gets me to the Boss Man. First off, they cut off the Ho Train. We didn't see the intro on Netflix.
Yeah, it skipped it. They
skipped it. And I had a later when I remembered there was a certain person on the show. I'm like, oh, are they going to show him, or are they just going to blur him out during the entire triple threat match? I was really curious how Netflix was going to handle that match, because I haven't seen a Chris Benoit match since. God, I keep on going everywhere. But Boss Man, sure. What did it do? Nothing. Was it entertaining? Yeah. And here's the one thing I want to say about Boss Man. You go back in the old days. You look at Dino Bravo, for an example. He was the same from WrestleMania 1 until he left the card. Boss Man went from a corny old cop with the blue outfit, whatever, to now I'm a badass with the knife stick, and he changed his gimmick for the times. Where I'm so glad he didn't come out there with his blue jumpsuit still, looking like whatever, like a Dino Bravo who never changed his style. Do you understand? Like the
yeah.
Good on Big Boss Man for at least changing with the times, but to me, this could have been on Raw, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it did feature. This is a match that could have been left off. Again, what stood out to me, I could care less about the Ho Train and all that. What stood out to me again was Bull Buchanan. I've never really seen him, and to watch how he performed, I was like, damn, like where did this guy go? Because he looked like he did great for his first WrestleMania, and or at least good enough for the times. And Big Boss Man, now knowing his story from where he started, like you said, the blue suit, he was the Clop, and where he started NWA and then WWF, and then he came back and they turned him all dark, and he was Vince McMahon's bodyguard, and he missed a cue with Steve Austin, and that's when he kind of went down the drain in WWF after that. So it's like, what a lost cause that was. It's a sad story to hear, but it is what it is. Moving on, you have the Hardcore Battle Royal, which this is one of those matches for me where I was so confused to start. Like I was like, okay, a Battle Royal is elimination. A Battle Royal is throwing a guy over the top. This was not what that was. From my understanding, this match was, okay, I think it was like 15 guys. Was it 15 or 20? I don't think.
15 guys.
And so you start off with 15 guys, and you pin the champion. You have to pin the champ. And when you pin the champion, you win the title. But the match is not over. That guy's not eliminated. That doesn't mean now it's 14 against whatever. You have to pin the champion. And now the champion has to defend against 14 other guys. And those 14 guys are going to fight each other and not go after. I don't understand why they make things so complicated. I don't understand. Like, to me, Crash Holly should have left. He was the champion. He got beat by Facera. Right? No, Taz. He got beat by Taz. Crash Holly goes on and starts fighting some other guy. Taz goes and loses the belt to Facera. They're all still there. Until the final... After I kind of figured out what was going on, I kind of just sat down and said, let me just enjoy the match. Let me just see what I can enjoy from this. And I mean, a lot of hard hitting, a lot of bashing and smashing. The APA, the Acolytes were there. I mean, really cool kind of flashbacks here and there, callbacks. And then the final thing happens here. It's between Taz, Crash, and Bob Holly, Hardcore Holly. And talk about, Conrad Thompson talking about Roman Reigns being overrated. Listen, because WWE pushed Roman down everybody's throats. They really tried to push Hardcore Holly down because I don't understand how Hardcore Holly would come away with this. The crowd was not behind it whatsoever. There was no pop whatsoever. The crowd was really behind Taz the whole time. I thought Taz was going to win it. Then they do this roll-up thing where it's Hardcore Holly, 1, 2. There's no 3 count, but they call a 3, and there's a bunch of confusion. Crash Holly's running away from the ring with the belt. Everybody looks confused. Even he looks confused. I don't know if that was legitimate. I don't know if there was a screw-up there, but what a cluster that was. So, fun, sure. The Bean Street Posse getting their heads busted open, like real deal.
Yeah.
All that was fun, but the match was, especially the finish, was just the match itself, a clusterfuck. What do you think about it?
AEW. That's what this match was. We make fun of Tony Khan about his booking. This is the Tony Khan AEW show. All of this is. There's only one-on-one match in this entire card. Did you know that? Every match was a multi-person or multi-person match. Every single one of them. This is AEW, brother. This is where it comes from. So whenever we criticize today's AEW, go back to this where Bobby just said this was an amazing show. Even though it's a short show, Bobby, I'm sorry. But you're right, though. Why is not everyone going for Crash? And then when Crash loses, why is not everyone going for Taz? Why is not everyone going for... Why when Crash loses, he's like, oh, well, let me go fight Joe. It was all tag teams. Minus Taz and Viscera. So Joey Abs, Farouk, Bradshaw, why were they all going after the Hardcore Champion? And why wasn't the Hardcore Champion just running away?
Yeah. Yeah, who did that? One guy did that, and it was right.
Yeah,
I forgot who it was. Was it one of the Mean Street Posse who won it and then ran to the back?
Funaki. I think it was
Funaki ran away. They started fighting and they ran off, and that made sense to me. I appreciate them running off like that. I would do it. I'd hide at that point. What's the point?
Yeah, for sure. But hey, once I'll be honest, I watched the whole show. I didn't fast forward into one because I can't fully review a show if I fast forward. I could do it with live television. I did on Raw. I do on Raw all the time. But this, I have to watch it. Once they announce this is a 15-minute Battle Royale hardcore match, dude, I had to pause the show and I had to go take some medicine before I watched this, dude. And it still wasn't enjoyable. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it was cool to see these guys, but I think we're spending too much hardcore. You're right. No pop. And I was buying time. That wasn't a mistake. That's the way it was supposed to happen. That's why the fans were confused. 1, 2. And then they played it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
To remind us.
The shoulder was up. No, it wasn't. Oh, he never touched it. No, he didn't. It's I don't know. Maybe you have to watch the next show to understand what they were trying to do. I know Tim White at one point made a lot of mistakes and he had to leave and, but it was a part of a story. Either way.
No, Crash got the title back to the very next night on Raw. They fixed it. So I think it was a mistake. There's just what I Googled and when I looked up, there was no mess up confirmed by anybody. So I guess nobody threw anyone under the bus, but they gave it back to Crash the next night.
Okay. So moving up now, we get to TNA with Trish Stratus, Tess, and Fat Albert, whatever his name was. With Trish Stratus taking on Head Cheese, Al Snow, and Steve Blackman with Chester McCheesterston, whatever. This is one of those matches. This is one of those matches where I had no interest in paying attention to. Zero, very interest to watch it. I didn't. I just let it play in the background till it was over. So I got not much to add. It was 7 minutes of this match. I was doing other things, dude. Was I wrong? Should I have paid attention?
No, but honestly, why France Trish out there if Trish isn't going to do anything but stand there? She didn't interfere. She didn't interact. She just stood there. Now, I understand Trish was new. This was her first WrestleMania, but they made a big deal about Trish the entire time, and she did nothing. That kind of threw me off. Sable does stuff. Managers do stuff. She didn't do anything except for stand there. So that's the only takeaway I have was she too young? And side note, I loved Head Cheese. I loved this gimmick when I was 15, 16, 17, or whatever, however old I was. I look at this now and I go, this is Danhausen. Why are people say Danhausen stuff's the worst stuff they've seen? Brothers, go back to WrestleMania 2000. The cheese guy. was some of the worst stuff I've seen.
There you go. Now to a highlight of the show. This is where I really started getting a kick out of it. Because I'll be honest, starting this off, I agree, right? Those three first ones could have been house shows or Raws or wherever they were. But still, not too bad. Once you got to the confusion part of the Battle Royal, entertaining match. You know, the guys, they were doing a bunch of crazy shit with weapons, fun. Trish Stratus, who cannot be bored of that? You know, Big Boss Man, Paul Buchanan doing some stuff off the top, fun, but still matches that weren't that impressive. It's like, hey, introduction. I love the idea now that they do is like they start the show off with a big match and they end it with a big match. That's the way it should be. Back then it wasn't. But this one right here, we finally get to a match that is a highlight of the show. And before it was a TLC, it was the Triangle Ladder match. And this was Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boyz, and the Hardy Boyz. And I just have to say, from top to bottom, these guys, the chemistry these guys have with each other is unparalleled. Never would be touched again. None of the tag teams of today touch what it was then. You know, I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, you could go the Young Bucks, you could go the Usos, you could go all respect to those guys and what they do for their divisions and everything else. But these guys were right here with the real deal. That's why Bubba Ray Dudley, Bully Ray, whatever you want to call him, he's as critical as he is today. When he talks about it, like, you know what? When I watch, I go, he could talk this shit. He could talk whatever he wants because what he did then and what he did with these guys was amazing. Like I was looking at these guys. And go, okay, who's the weak link of this match? None of them. None. Zero.
None.
These guys were putting it all on the line. Like Edge and Christian, Devon Dudley. I mean, Testify. I mean, the Hardy Boyz. I mean, Matt Hardy, like you think of Jeff Hardy as the Daredevil doing it up, like Matt Hardy was doing like it was a great match. And the story being told, and then the moves that were being done, and the spear off the top of the ladder, and twist of fate, and then of course the table shot where he got on top of the ladder and on the ramp, and he did the swanton bomb, and he hits, and but you can tell where he protects him, but it still is what an awesome match. This was a highlight. This is where it really got fun for me. And of course, we talked about the match after, which kind of brought it back down. But this was an awesome match, and it was like all 2, 4, 6. These guys were amazing, man. These guys. It was a fun match. I enjoyed it. It's
funny to think that 4 of them are still wrestling today.
Yes, they are.
4 of them are still wrestling today, and one's talking about it, and the other one's happily retired. I don't know where Devon is, but man, what a flashback. This really opened up again. AEW. This is a young Tony Khan looking at this stuff, and that's why we see what we see today. Because of Edge and Christian, because of the Hardys and the Dudleys. I remember this match very vividly. I thought, man, Edge and Christian should have won this. I was so mad. Who do you think my youth who I thought should have won this match? The Hardys, brother.
Yeah.
Everyone did. Wrong call. I stand by it. I stand by it today. The first ever TLC ladder match, whatever this was, should have been the Hardys because they're the ones, they were Team Extreme. They're the one doing all the stuff. I felt like whenever Edge and Christian went, I was pissed. I remember being so mad. But I'm looking, I mean, I still think it's the wrong call, but looking at it, anyone could have won. Anyone. I think if the Dudleys would have won, sure. But once they put that table up there, I'm thinking, are they going to powerbomb someone through that? There's no way they can stand it. Well, they stood on it. Thank goodness. I get scared. I'm scared of heights, scared of ladders. The stuff they were, Jeff Hardy, think about this, Justin and DSG, and everybody watching around the world. We have pictures of people on regular ladders and AEW and WWE rings where multiple refs are holding the bottoms so it's stable, so the wrestler can climb up that ladder. Jeff climbed on that ladder on the aisle, the entrance ramp, on the concrete, they called it. Nobody was holding that bottom ladder, and he stood on the very top, and it was wobbly. All that ladder had to do, all he had to do was slip. Pew! That ladder's getting slung into the fans. Lawsuits everywhere. Multiple lawsuits probably on this show. You know how many fans were touching wrestlers during the show?
Yeah.
Insane, dude. Different time, I guess. But he did that swanton bomb with no assistance. Now people get on ladders. I'm telling you, they're holding the bottoms of the ladders. Just a wild time. Go back to the hardcore match. How many headshots, Bobby? How many direct headshots? Dude, it was every second. Yep. It's sad. It was sad to see, really. And this match, dude, how many times do you see a ladder? Dude, Jeff Hardy was running from the side of the ring he jumped on top of the railing where the fans sit, right where next to the entrance. He wanted to jump off of it and hit, I think, Edge or one of the Dudleys. Dude threw a ladder straight in his face.
Yep.
Like at that time, still today, that's jarring.
Yep.
Because it just was like, what? Jeff just died? Like, everything you see Darby Allin do, we already saw. It just was more extreme back then because it just looked more real. I don't know. Just that ladder shot just looked so real.
Yeah. But you see, at the same time, they weren't doing moves just to do moves. They weren't doing moves to hurt someone just so they could get good. Like, they were doing moves that were shocking and were like, wow, for that time. But also at the same time, you could see where they're being protected. You like that, even the Swan Tom off the top of the ladder onto Bubba Ray Dudley on that table there. He hardly even touched Bubba Ray. I mean, he slid off top of him. Same thing with Bubba. When Bubba laid him on top of the ladder, and Bubba jumped, Bubba, like, he slid, like, you know, didn't even fully land on his back. Not like Big Show onto Mankind or Mick Foley later tonight, where he does that whole flat back thing and crushes him. You know, there you can see the protection. But they weren't just doing moves to do moves. They started off right, started slow, did the right thing. I agree with you very quick about the Hardys. That match, the way that match was going, the Dudley Boys could have done it too. But the way that match was going, it felt that was the Hardys match to lose. Like, the Hardys seemed like they were pushing for the Hardys to win that match. But for Edge and Christian, who were out of it at the second part of it, or the last few minutes, they seemed like they were out. They got knocked out to come back and win it. Still, though, anybody could have won. I'm cool with Edge and Christian winning. Great match, great chemistry. That's why these guys are the bar. When it comes to tag team wrestling, look at those three teams right there. Those guys at the bar. And their chemistry together, bar none. Next match, forgettable. You know, again, I'm like, wow, it's funny how I'm like waiting to get past this point in wrestling with these. You know, you got Terry Reynolds with Fabulous Moolah taking on the Cat and Mae Young. Jerry the King Lawler through this match. Okay, whatever, dude. You know, we know who it is with the Cat. That's his wife at that moment in time. But this match, I was not interested at all. It is what it is. 2 minute. It was a cat fight. I mean, again, this made me miss Sable and what was the chick from the last WrestleMania? She's here too in this WrestleMania. Tori. I missed that I missed that match. You know, when they actually tried to wrestle. This was not that. This was short, to the point, get it out. I was happy it's only 2 minutes, not much to talk about.
We wasted too much time talking on it. The next match was Chyna and Too Cool versus the Radicals. Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Perry Saturn. Latino Heat was just about to get started. I was hyped. And Bobby, I don't know everything about this card. I don't remember everything. So I'm like, oh, is Chyna going to turn tonight? Because I knew we were getting the big turn at the night. I knew we were going to get the big turn at the night, the very end. So I'm like, oh, they're going to have two turns tonight? Are we going to see Chyna do this again at WrestleMania where she aligns herself with Eddie? Because I forgot how that went down. We didn't get that. Unfortunately. But we got Chyna beating Eddie Guerrero. 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring, right? That's the way it went, right? Yeah, that's the way it went. That was my big takeaway. Chyna was wrestling with the men, holding her ground with the men. I don't know how that would go today, full time. Now, Nia Jax slammed somebody. Okay, that's cool. Rhea Ripley, whatever. But long term in the division, would you think that would hold up today in 2026?
No, because nobody's Chyna. Like, that's how I see it. Chyna had a different aura about it. Like Rhea Ripley, maybe. Rhea Ripley's great, and it's believable that she could take anyone on. Nia Jax, she's done it, right? She's been in Men Battle Royals, Beth Phoenix. And Nia, obviously, shout out to Nia, who's lost a lot of weight. She's doing really good for herself and happy for her and all that, even though I think she injured Chelsea. I think I read that yesterday. But none of them's Chyna, man. Chyna, watching that match, first of all, Chyna was huge back then with the audience. The crowd loved her. And even though, I love about this match too was the Radicals. Seeing Perry Saturn and Dean Malenko still able to do it, man. Saturn was so good. Dean Malenko made it look so easy. Eddie Guerrero, I love seeing those guys, man. And I love them in WCW. I love them here. And so watching them, what they were able to do for Chyna, they made her look like $1 million. But you got to give a shout out to her because she did it herself too. She was on top of the world. And the way she carried herself in that match, the way she to go back and forth between the guys, and could it work today? Sure. Right? Guess today's more inclusive. I don't know what's that the right word to say. It's more inclusive now. Oh, you get a guy.
I'm gonna.
Nobody's Chyna. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, could it happen? Yeah. Sure. Right? You could say, hey, Rhea Ripley, let's go beat up Dom in a match. You could get away with it, but can somebody do it like Chyna did and make it look believable and make it more awesome where you're rooting for this to happen? No, because nobody's Chyna. She was organic. You saw her. She was the bodyguard. She was physically imposing. She stayed quiet. Nobody knew about her. She was mysterious. And then she grew and she got more popular with the fans. And she got, from this bodybuilder security guard to, still big and strong, beautiful and everything else about her. And to be a badass at the same time. She was the real deal, man. Nobody's Chyna, bro.
And another thing is like Chyna, no woman was beating her up. Whereas Rhea Ripley, we've seen her beat up by Io Sky, Liv Morgan, as in no girl in that age in that era was ever going to beat Chyna up. So there was no competition. We look at it now, we go, Rhea just took it, like she took her 30 minutes to beat Io Sky. Like, I think Brock Lesnar would kill both of them at the same time. So I guess that's the difference, right? Yeah, you're WNBA.
Frick. I knew he was going to come after me for that.
We see Too Cool later on in the show. I think that Too Cool was an underrated tag team, but at the time, I'm like, now looking back, I'm like, God, what? Those guys were
cringe.
Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, but the cringe, the whole commentary, both of them. Both of them. JR too.
See, I love that you've brought that up. This disillusion from modern day fans that, and don't get me wrong, Jim Ross is a great commentator, is one of the greatest of all time. Yes. But watching all of these WrestleManias, again, there are only two people that I enjoy listening to, and I'll put a third one in there because the first being Gorilla Monsoon. Any day of the week, any time of the week, you let me listen to Gorilla Monsoon, I'm golden, I'm good. Jesse the Body Ventura, those two right there. That's the A class. And then you need a substitute, Gorilla and Bobby the Brain Heenan, and I'm done.
Yep, that's it.
Jerry the King. Hey, you know what? To each your own. Legend in this business. Enjoy it. Two different guys. If you watch him in the ring, different wrestler than he is as a commentator. More serious, he's fun, Jerry the King. But on the mic, after listening to all these WrestleManias, it's like I cannot wait to get past this point. And JR, Mike. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm gonna go a step further because I'm gonna blow everyone's mind.
Ooh.
Just give me Corey Graves and Wade Barrett. That's all. Like they're better than JR and King. Sorry.
Wow. Okay.
Damn. It is because at least I don't have to hear. Whatever. It was the times, dude.
I'll tell you what. Can I be honest?
Yeah.
We're gonna get it now at WrestleMania 17, and we gotta get Adrian involved, and because I know everybody wants to talk about WrestleMania 17 being the greatest. Paul Heyman and JR. I love those two. They were great. Paul Heyman and Jim Ross. I can't wait to listen to them and kind of now that we're years later to see the vibe because I'm ready to get past JR and King. I really am. I think people it's nostalgic because they were around back then. They go, oh, JR and King, man. But really, when you start to listen to them, it's like, jeez, Lou, dude.
Yeah, it's a drag, dude.
Come on, bro. All right, but let's talk about another highlight of this show. And I think this is why I love this show. I mean, again, the triple threat tag match for the titles, the ladder match. And then, you got to see Chyna with Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko, and Eddie. Like, I love that. I really enjoyed that. Oh. But then you get the triple threat. Now, again, you're going to have, this is the only complaint I have. I didn't know it was a two-fall triple threat tag. I didn't know. I didn't understand how Chris got one and Benoit got the other. Jericho and Benoit got it. So maybe you could explain it, but I'm going to say this. Chris Benoit, you tell me, Bobby, we're going to watch a triple threat match, and I'm only going to tell you who's in the match. I'm not going to tell you how it ends, how anything else. And you tell me, and I say, okay, who's the competitors? Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, and Kurt Angle. That's all I need to know. Just tell me when we're going to watch it. That's all. Chris Benoit, Jericho, and Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle being brand new to the business of professional wrestling. This is his first WrestleMania. First WrestleMania for three of these guys. But we know Jericho and Benoit, a world champion in WCW, was Benoit before he left to come to WWE with the Radicals. Jericho making the big debut at Raw against The Rock. But Kurt Angle, this was his first year in wrestling. You know, he was trying to get booked in ECW. They were trying to book him in ECW before they crucified the Sandman, and he was like, I'm not going there. Then he went to WWF, and he sold there. So these three guys, like, watching this match, man, this was freaking awesome. Like, these guys are so good. They're great. Like, you look at it going, this is the future professional wrestling we're watching here. And I know, you know, we all know what Benoit does. We know his history. But I'm just talking about as of right then, you're watching these guys. Like my son, I downloaded Benoit and he found out what happened with Benoit before he actually watched Benoit. And he's like, Dad, you should delete him. I don't think we should play with him. Yeah, he's a monster. Like, you know, I was like, all right. So I took him off. But now that he's watching all the WrestleManias and watching wrestling, he's watching them on his own. He loves Benoit. He's like, Dad, Benoit's one of my favorites, dude. Benoit's really good. I said, I told you. Benoit was legit. You know, it was just obviously what he did was terrible. He's a fucking monster. But let's talk, you know, but this was awesome. But I did not see the first fall. I thought it was just triple threat. This was one of the times I had to mute it because it was at night and I was trying to get through everything. And so I was just watching. And then when I saw Jericho won, Jericho rolls out. He gives a belt to Benoit. Then goes and gives the European belt to Jericho. I'm like, what just happened? I was so confused. Yeah. So what did you think of this match? And explain what the hell happened.
Yeah, so this is another AEW concept here. I'm being very nice about that. So Chris Jericho was originally supposed to be in the main event, by the way, in case anyone wants to know. Jericho was originally booked over Mick Foley, but they got Mick Foley out. I was going to mention that JR is going through brain surgery on August 12th. I had to look it up. I didn't know that, and I didn't mean any hard feelings to you, JR, if you're watching. I highly doubt you know who I am, but we wish you well. But Chris Jericho was supposed to be in the main event.
He was on the posters. Match. He was on the posters. Yep. It was those four guys. Jericho was doing. I was so confused because when I was developing this, I had to go back and look. It was all Big Show. Was it Big Show or Mick? No, Mick Foley wasn't on it. It was Jericho and the other three, and you couldn't see it. So I don't know. So tell me. I'm sure you're gonna tell me the backstory to that.
No, I don't know any backstory other than that Vince didn't know, or Vince didn't have. The only thing that says is Vince didn't have any faith in Jericho because he was so new to the company. So they just wanted Mick Foley. And I too, Justin, this is the first Chris Benoit match I've seen since. This really is. So not funny story, just horrible story. Because I feel selfish at the time. Here at the Dallas Bowl in Tampa, John Cena, The Big Show, Chris Benoit, a bunch of wrestlers were going to come and sign autographs for free. Literally for Mike Allstott, there was Bucks players there too. It was all a free event. I think they were kids getting ready back for school. This was on a Monday. This was supposed to be before a Monday Night Raw. I don't know where Raw was that day. I really don't. But they were all there. They canceled it. And I didn't know why. No, they didn't cancel it. Hold on. I'm telling a different story. This was Eddie Guerrero. Sorry. Eddie Guerrero. Never mind. This happened with Eddie Guerrero. When Eddie passed, that's when they had all this promotion. So, cut this. Never happened. But the whole thing with Chris Benoit, I remember watching that pay-per-view, ECW, and they put John Morrison in there. And I'm like, this is kind of weird. And then, of course, they had that whole show. But again, I have never watched a Chris Benoit match since, and this is the first time. I had to Google, will Netflix cut him out? I did. They didn't. They cut out his entrance, though, of course. But anyway, triple threat match. The first winner gets the IC title, and the second winner gets the European title. The match was fine. Everything was okay. They had 2 pinfalls. It was a 2 out of 3 pinfall match. Why did we prioritize the IC title going first? Not sure why. And I'll tell you why this match sucked, Justin Toner, and I love you so much. And Bobby, I know you said the match was good too. The match was good. But what's so cool about 1, 2, 3, and the guy who just got pinned gets a belt? Think about that. Benoit was the last person to get pinned. Jericho hit the lion salt. 1, 2, 3. But here's your belt anyway, buddy. And guess what? Your belt's better than the guy who pinned you.
That's where I got confused.
Now the new European champion, who's a lesser belt, just pinned the IC title. But the IC title is still Chris Benoit's. This match, that thinking threw me off. That's why I'm like, came away sour with this. Like, what? This is backwards. The European Championship should have been first, and the IC title should have been second. So that's my only gripe about this match. But other than that, they crushed it, dude. You forget how good Benoit was. Yep. You really forget how good he was. Yeah. And the things he did, his facials, his aggression, everything about him was just The
Talk about
Rapid
chemistry.
Wolverine.
Talk about chemistry from like the Dudley Boys with the Hardys and Christian. These three right here had amazing chemistry. Kurt Angle, and then just, man, I'm gonna say, like, you know, everybody knows my love, you know, in regards of greatest wrestlers all the time, like Hulk Hogan is there, right? But when you talk about all around wrestler, character, in ring, and everything, Kurt Angle is probably in that right there too. Kurt Angle, this is his first year. I mean, look how easy it is. Look how easy he made it. His character, you know, like, you know, screaming and going crazy, and you know, just it's made it so easy, dude. And just to be able to like, you watch the way he does drop kicks and you see the way he does these moves, and you're like, this is a guy who just started. Like, what are we talking about? This was an awesome match. I really did enjoy this one. Next one, though, we do get Kane and Rikishi taking on D-Generation X, Pac, and Road Dogg with Tori. This is when Kane got betrayed again in this scenario where he was with Tori for a while and X-Pac, and then they turned on him. And so this is his revenge match. Kane and Rikishi go over. This was only 4 minutes. It was not a long match. Kane looked like $1 million. I mean, this guy, my God, dude. Like, people, I think it's the same thing with Benoit, right? You forget how Kane was back then. But that dude was a legitimate monster. To think about the mask, and you think about what he's wearing, you go back to Imposter Kane. You know, when they tried to bring back Kane, the mask, and it looked terrible. It's like you can't get behind that. But then you watch this Kane, and Glenn Jacobs was in phenomenal shape, but the way he sold that was so freaking well. And he came off scary as shit, but he came impressive the way he moved in the ring. X-Pac and Road Dogg are entertaining. You can't get enough of those guys. But Kane came off like $1 million. That's all. Like, that's what stood out to me, was this monster. So yeah, not much to talk about other than that.
I have something that stood out to me. So throughout the night, there was interviews with Mick Foley and Linda, Shane and Big Show. Triple H didn't have an interview, but he was talking to Stephanie. And, you know, all four of the four corners of the main event had their little segment. And Triple H's segment was him sitting with Stephanie, like talking about how he's going to win and blah, blah, all this stuff, you know, whatever heels talk about. And then fast forward to this match, and I see D-Generation X come out. Either WWE and Netflix didn't update it or they edited it, but Triple H, Paul Levesque, is heavily in the DX video still, even a year after he beat the hell out of them all. Look, did you notice this?
Yeah, I did. I had to.
That video.
Yeah, because he's still he's a part of the corporate, right? I mean, he's not in DX. Did he come back to the DX? I have to go back and look at that because he was in the intro. I saw Triple H multiple times.
Heavily in the intro. He never went back to DX ever until like afterwards. So they must have been slacking. I know, you know, whatever, but it's been a year, guys. It was a full year. Anyway, you know, I really can't take X-Pac serious, or Road Dogg. And if you have time, go back to Road Dogg WrestleMania 15 and Road Dogg WrestleMania 16. The Shake, Rattle, and Roll was mega over last year. This year we got Cricket. DX was dead. Yeah. DX was dead, man.
Yep.
It was dead. They're in the cool down match. Think about that. DX was last WrestleMania 15 was DX Mania. Now they're in the cool down match.
Mm-hmm. Totally died out.
Can do.
And that's why a lot, you know, they understood, like Road Dogg and X-Pac and Billy, they understood what business was with Triple H wanting to break free of it, you know, but it told you how important Triple H was to that team and to that group, that when he finally broke off, it's I'm breaking free and doing other things. He needed to be a single star. He broke away and DX died. You didn't have Shawn Michaels. And I'll tell you what, you know, I just saw something, and now that I know we have a little bit of time, I'm going to say this now. But I saw something recently, you know, the whole Roman Reigns thing, that's a whole other episode. But another one I just saw that was absolutely crazy, but I guess it comes to this because we're going to get into the main event now with Triple H. But Eric Bischoff, I have to listen to it for context. And so I didn't hear it. I read what he said. I didn't get to hear what he said. But basically saying that, you know, Triple H was a utility player. He wasn't a superstar. He was, he was there, look, he never had to be outside of a group. There was somebody right there. He never had to be outside of a group. He was always in a group with DX or the corporation and then Evolution and whatever. That he was a superstar. I wholeheartedly disagree. Triple H was damn a superstar. I got to go back and watch when he would be out and he'd come back, the pops that he would have multiple times. Like, a lot of the reason why DX was successful was because of Triple H. The reason why Evolution was successful was because of Triple H. He didn't marry the boss's daughter until later, or he didn't have a relationship with her until later. And before he did, he was a pretty big time player in WWF as a singles wrestler, with Chyna and doing everything else. So I don't buy that, and so that's evidence right there how DX quickly died when Triple H left, to what his power is within the company and with the fans. It's easy for guys now, to say, oh, the only reason why Triple H was big, or he was one of the main guys, because he was married to the boss's daughter. That's a real cop-out, I feel, and I think that kind of proves it. And just what he does in this match, again, the matches that he was able to have, the chemistry he had. Chemistry is such a big thing in wrestling. We just talked about it with Edge and Christian and the Dudleys in that triangle tag match. And then, of course, with Edge, Christian, and Jericho, Benoit, and Angle. The chemistry with The Rock and Triple H, Mick Foley and Triple H, like, you can't fake that. This guy was a superstar. I mean, he was the villain to those guys. Like, he was the Joker to those guys, Batman. So I know that's a whole other episode, but I saw that and I couldn't believe what I was reading. Like, I have to go back and listen to what Eric Bischoff was talking about, because context matters, and I respect Eric Bischoff's opinion and everything. I've listened to him so many times, so I don't know exactly what was the question or the whole thing, but I was reading a lot of the comments, and a lot of people were way off. Like, to me, Triple H was a superstar. It was bigger than being married to Stephanie McMahon. Obviously, now he is where he is because being married to the daughter, being the head creator and whatever. But that dude was a star. I mean, he is a great mind for the business of wrestling. I mean, so that's my TED Talk in regards of Triple H from what I saw. And just because you bring up that point about DX was dead, even though he was still in there. But think about it. DX died when Triple H walked off. So,
yep.
Go ahead.
I got the quote. It says he's consistent and good, but he's never been a Rock, never been an Austin, never been a Cena. He's been a great utility player at a certain level, but he's never been a superstar. And I'm going to agree with him, but I don't think, the word you're focusing on utility player. Now, you're focusing on utility player. That's the wrong wording. He's not a utility. He's not a Ben Zobrist. He's not someone that you just pinch hit in the seventh or double switch or whatever. He's not just a center fielder with a golden glove but he can't hit. Triple H did it all. Cut the promos, had the body, did the heel work, could turn babyface, worked the crowd, understood the business, had some of the greatest WrestleMania matches and moments of all time.
Yep.
Now, if you don't think that's a superstar, I'm sorry. No, was he ever Rock or Austin? No, he was not.
No, he was not.
Was he ever Cena? No, he was not.
No.
So those words were correct. But saying that he's a great utility player is putting him in he's great at, you always hear this. Oh, he's a great technical wrestler. No. Triple H was a great pro wrestler.
Good professional, great professional wrestler. Yep. I mean, again, I don't know what his intentions were when he met Stephanie and, left Chyna for Stephanie and all that whatnot. Who knows? I do know his spot was pretty damn good before dating Stephanie McMahon. Again, so I don't know what it was, but everything you said, I think is absolutely fair and right on, because again, you can't fake those pops. You can't fake what he did for professional wrestling. You can't fake, even if he was married to the boss's daughter, that doesn't make the fans love you. The matches that he was able to have with Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair and Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Undertaker and The Rock, and like, fans could easily go like, dude, why is he even in this match? Why is this guy? Because he's married to the double. He sucks. He's a terrible. You can't get behind his mic skills. You can't get behind him in the ring. So you telling me the WWE fans would get behind that even if he's married? No. McMahon can't alter the fans. The fans fell in love with Triple H because of what he was able to do in the ring and on the mic and as a character. Yeah, he could have been easily put in the main event spot and be like, dude, this dude is terrible. Why is he here? There's been plenty of guys like that. Yeah, that were like, why is this guy in this spot, dude? Oh, well, Vince McMahon really likes him. You were forcing him. Lex Luger, Ultimate Warrior, and there's guys in wrestling that you go like, this guy should not be in this area or in this contest. But he's here because McMahon likes him. That wasn't Triple H. When Triple H was put in a spot, he made it his own. So if he married where he is now, you could say, oh, that's because he's married to the boss's daughter. Sure. But I don't buy for 1 minute. Oh, the reason why he was so big in professional wrestling because he's married to the boss's daughter. That's why he had all the top spots. Bullshit. Go watch his matches. Go listen to him on the mic. Go see how much times fans hated him and they booed him and because he was evil and all this shit. And now fans went crazy for him after he left. When he came back, the fans went nuts. When he came back to win the Royal Rumble, when he left and he challenged the Undertaker at WrestleMania, you don't fake those spots. You don't fake those pops. So is he a superstar? 100%. He was a superstar. Anyone saying otherwise, they're full of shit. He wasn't Stone Cold Steve Austin. He wasn't The Rock. He wasn't he wasn't John Cena or Hogan, but he was a star in this business. Anyway, we'll get to the main event now.
So, this was a historic main event. This was the first time ever. Stone Cold couldn't say this. The Rock couldn't say this. Cena couldn't say this. Hogan couldn't say this. The first heel to ever close out WrestleMania victorious, ever. Triple H. The first heel to ever retain his championship ever at WrestleMania, Triple H. So that's huge. Send the fans home happy was a big thing. People want to come to see Austin win the title. People want to come to see Hogan drop the leg. This is the first time ever. People were mad going home. Think about that, guys. Think about that. That's huge. And that's the era we're getting into. And I loved this era for Triple H. At the time, I did not. Looking back at it, I appreciate it because I wish we had that now.
Yep.
We had the top, Bobby on Raw, we had the top guy tell the fans to chant his rival's theme song. Where are we at in wrestling these days? They all love each other. Yep. This is a time where Triple H wanted to kill Mick Foley. He hated Mick Foley. JR said something very alarming. At one point, Mick Foley was doing crazy Mick Foley things. Triple H was probably beating him up or whatever. And Jim Ross, it was the pile driver on the steps back when that mattered.
Yep.
Back when that mattered. He pile drive Mick Foley on the steel steps and was going to roll him in there. And JR's, good God, he's helpless. He's retired. Someone stop this match. Get him out. He's only 34 years old. Retired at 30. I had to rewind it. Retired at 30 and he looked like he was 54 years old. Mick, dude, you did so much for the business. Yeah. I cannot believe you were only 34 years old then. I'm still floored. Floored. But still, anyway, back to the match. I didn't like it until Big Show left. Once the Big Show left, I was like, okay, cool. Now we got stars. Now we have people I care about. I never cared about the Big Show. And I always thought it was silly because I think that Triple H messed up a couple times, talking about Triple H, where he would break up pins and someone's like, why did you do that? Well, I think he wants to beat up. No.
Yeah, I saw that.
He probably forgot the rules.
Interrupted a pinfall. Like, why are you doing that? It's like,
yeah. So,
but I want to be honest. My son does that in WWE 2K. Like, it's like, why did you interrupt my pin? It's an elimination match. What are we doing? We have this match called the Russian Roulette. We have 8 guys. Everybody has their finishers already. You press go. You're trying to determine the number 1 contender. He does that. He'll run and interrupt my pinfall on someone. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I forgot. So
you got to teach me how to do elimination match. I can't find them. I can't figure out how to do it.
I'll show you too. I have to send you my character too. That you sent me one. I have to send you what I look like. But anyway, that's something off air we talk about. But very quick. The Big Show, who was eliminated about 4 minutes into the match. He was the first elimination. He was rock bottom by The Rock to take him out. Again, it goes back to last show. I hate the way Big Show was presented. He should have been a monster. I mean, he should have been like, this is the giant. This is a guy who it's not easy to take down. But my God, dude, Big Show is one of the greats, right? Big Show, what he was able to do in his career, I'll never take away. I always enjoyed watching Big Show. I love the ECW version of the Big Show, and the Brock Lesnar Big Show version too. But the ECW version, like, that was a monster. Wrestling in ECW at that time, unbeatable, fought the Ric Flair. Like, that's the way he should have been. Like, crazy monster, like. But he wasn't. In WCW, he wasn't. He was easy to throw around. Fucking jackhammer, light drop, all the above. WWF, 4 minutes into the match, he's the first elimination. I was kind of like, damn. And that's where I was like, I'm with you. The point is like, why are you even in this match? To me, that would be like the last pillar to win the match, is having to take out the Big Show. Like, do a spot, lay him out. He's out for a little while. The Monster's out. Now it's the three of you guys. Mick Foley gets eliminated, because he between Rock, McFoley, and Triple H. Mick Foley's the weak link between the two. Drop him. Now it's Rock and Triple H. Whatever. Oh my God, Triple H did it. And all of a sudden, here comes the Big Show. And oh crap, there it is. That's the way it should have been. But Big Show's the first elimination. And I think the reason why it's like that, where you're like, I couldn't wait for him to get off, because they presented him wrong. He wasn't believable as a guy to fight. He wasn't Andre the Giant. He didn't have that aura. He didn't have Kane's aura. He didn't have the Undertaker. He didn't have those auras. They didn't allow him to do that. And that was because he was misguided. They booked him wrong. And you can say, oh, WCW booked him wrong. So did the WWF. They misbooked the Big Show from the very beginning.
Imagine this. Instead of Shane and Big Show, we see Shane and Kane. Imagine that. Shane and Kane in the main event. That would be so much better, because Kane is presented as a monster. Kane is intimidating. Kane could have worked there. I know he wasn't going to be in the main event, right? Because the Big Show, they just signed him. He's a new guy. They didn't just sign him, but he's been there. He's newer. But I just feel like they shoehorned everybody in to get people on the show. Again, everything is a multi-man match. Like everything.
Yeah.
So the match happens, right? Gets eliminated. Then we get the triple threat match for a long time. And we get a moment where, is Mick going to help Triple H and beat up The Rock? And dude, he beats up The Rock for like 5 minutes.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, this is cool.
I'm with you. I popped. Triple H and Mick Foley, who you don't even have to be watching the WWF back then to know that these two absolutely hated each other. Triple H just retired him in Hell in the Cell. They had a killer match at Hell in the Cell. So to see that moment where they're both looking at each other and going, like, rocket sock connection here, hello, that was still a thing. But looking at them, and they're looking at each other going, yeah, okay. And they're teaming. You're like, whoa, whoever would have thought they saw something like that? You don't. That was fun. That's why some of the moments in this match was a lot of fun to watch. To see Mick Foley and Triple H teaming up on The Rock, that was a cool spot and I'll tell you what, like, as much as fun as this match as it was, now that you say it, like, now it makes all the sense. Jericho was supposed to be part of this match. That would have been great. That would have made this put this match on another pedestal if McMahon wasn't so damn fucking stubborn to put like, I didn't trust Chris Jericho. Have you watched Chris Jericho? Did you see him? Can you, anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah. So pretty much, we get that. And then eventually Triple H does eliminate Mick Foley. So it leaves one-on-one Rock and Triple H. And, I'm waiting for the turn. My question is, it's no disqualification. And that we should admit, we should let the people know the Big Show did get eliminated legitimately. Vince hit him with a chair, and then that's when the Rock bottomed him 1, 2, 3. So like he didn't get squashed, people. He got hit in the chair, and back in that time, getting hit in the chair meant something, right? It meant something. So Big Show hit 1, 2, 3. The way Mick Foley gets eliminated, he got pedigreed by Triple H, I believe, on a chair. I want to say it was on a chair.
Yeah, it was
1, 2, 3. So then he goes in the back, but it's no disqualification. Correct? No disqualification.
No DQ.
Mick Foley then walks away. He's upset. People are, thank you, Mick, whatever. He has a change of his mind. He grabs his 2x4 with the barbed wire. And he goes in there and hits Triple H one more time. And all 1,000 refs, no, it's no DQ. There are no rules.
Idiots, man.
There are no rules. They didn't stop Shane come out later, right? All that whole mess. Talk about later. But that's the one thing that kind of threw me off. I was hoping that Mick Foley would do more to Triple H because I forgot what happens. And I'm thinking, this is perfect. We can get Triple H looking bloody. Mick Foley can really put his stamp on this match. And then we can get some slobber knocker. We still get a slobber knocker between Dwayne and Paul, but it's no disqualification. Anyway, be that as it may, how did you feel when the The Rock and Triple H finally went head to head, 1-on-1. That was pretty cool.
It was cool. Again, you can't fake that. You can't fake the pop. You can't fake the chemistry that these two had. You could be put in that spot and totally be a lame duck, and people realize, hey, why is this guy in this spot? But when you watch those two together, The Rock and Triple H had amazing chemistry. I mean, they really knew how to put on a show. The good guy, the bad guy, the fans wanting Rock to win. The finish, or at least that portion of it, being Rock and Triple H, was the right call. Those are the final two. That's the final stand right there. And where again, there was no Stone Cold Steve Austin. There was no Undertaker in this show. So, and this was the key to watch. Like, okay, does Austin show up? Do you need Austin to show up? No, you didn't need Austin to show up. And I'll tell you again, I really did enjoy this. And where again, the cluster was, of course, McMahon, and you got Shane and Vince punching each other, and Vince turns on The Rock, and finally Triple H goes over and holds the belt, and you finally have it. Oh crap. This was now it's truly the corporate, the families together. I don't know why the hell Shane went back in and tries to fight The Rock. And that was the confusing part. That I didn't understand. Like, you just got confusing. You just got your ass handed to you by your father, and now you're trying to attack that. Now you're trying to protect him. That I didn't understand. But I think it was cool shot. Triple H standing tall, the McMahons, and like you said, it was huge from all the WrestleManias of baby faces standing tall. Now it's the heel. Now this is a different type of professional wrestling. This is a different era in professional wrestling. You can't count that always the baby face is going to win. Now the heel could win, and that heel being Triple H, who has this monstrous run. This was again. I look forward to knowing, because you said this was one of the worst WrestleManias, so I'd love to know where your final grading is. To me, this was an entertaining WrestleMania. Again, I talk about the matches that there's a lot of matches. There's a lot of WrestleManias we talked about. They were like, this match was saved. This show was saved by one match. There was more than one match on this card that was good to great. Again, the main event, the triple threat tag match, Benoit, Jericho, Kurt Angle. Like, those matches stand on the test of time. Like, those are like, especially the triple threat tag match that you always see, even the TLC next time, like those matches. But those matches, like, I don't think it's one of the best WrestleManias, but I don't think it's obviously one of the worst either. I think this was my key tag for this match would be no Taker, no Austin, no problem. They survived. Fun show.
Well, I'm glad that you saw it that way. I was dreading this show. I was hoping it was ending. I did not have fun. And we forgot to mention the main event. They tried to do Austin. No Austin. Vince says, well, we have Rock. It didn't work as well. Rock went in there and rock bottomed Vince a couple times, and it didn't go over as much as Austin stunning him, by the way. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, fair.
They tried to get that. They tried to make that work with Rock. It didn't work. All right. As I said, I'm not fond of this, but it's better than a lot of the WrestleManias we saw before, because at least there was some action. We saw some emotion, and there was no Dino Bravo. So that's a good thing. But it's hard for me to put it over anything with double digits. Like, but WrestleMania 11 is the worst WrestleMania I've ever seen. So that being said, I'm putting it at a solid 7, right under WrestleMania 12, right above WrestleMania 4. So the tournament, and then of course all those great matches on WrestleMania 12. So it's right there. It's a good show. Like, I can go back and find good things of the show. What does everyone love? Head cheese. Like, there's things that I remember, but is it because I'm remembering it from my childhood, or is it because I actually enjoyed it? That's the question I'm asking myself when I'm watching these WrestleManias.
Fair enough. Well, next WrestleMania is a pretty big one. WrestleMania 17, and we know since we've started doing this, everybody keeps bringing up WrestleMania 17. So this is a pretty big one, and we expect this one to, for people to want to join the show. Like Adrian's talked about, letting him know when the show is going. So this is the big one, right? We got coming up here. I think it's in Texas. It's Houston, Texas, Astrodome. We know that it's the second. Yeah, it's the second of the trilogy of Rock and Austin. This was before WrestleMania 18, where Hogan and Rock, and so we're getting to those big time WrestleManias. But we're starting to turn that corner. So next weekend we'll have WrestleMania 18 and WrestleMania 17 Rewind. So make sure you join us for that one. Again, I enjoyed this show. I wasn't expecting to. I think that's why I think I enjoyed it a lot more, Josh, because to me, WrestleMania 2000, I always saw it like kind of like, for me before watching it, it felt cheap. It was like, I looked at the card, I looked at the image, I was like, had no interest, and so finally be like, I have to watch it. The only thing I didn't like, again, the main thing I could have liked was that the cat fight. I was like, that shouldn't be on WrestleMania. Like, WrestleMania is up here. Why are we going down here? Get Russo off my TV with that shit. But other than that, to me, the triple threat match, the fatal four at the end, which you're right, the only singles competition was the cat fight. But those three matches right there, to me, stood the test. Like, to me, I was like, wow, this was better than I thought. And maybe that's why I feel better about it than maybe you do, because I've always looked down at this WrestleMania. I was like, well, this sucks, and watching going, oh, this is not as bad as I thought it was. But I know WrestleMania 17. I think we're going to come away pretty good on that one, maybe. So I'm looking forward to that. Josh, final thoughts before we wrap this one up, brother?
Yeah, man. Everyone chill out tomorrow morning. If you're going to school, just drive safe. There's no reason to get mad at anybody, for real. We're all going to go to the same place and get home. We want to get home safely. So there's that. I know, Bobby, you'll be fighting that traffic possibly as well. And other than that, man, look, I was live Friday night for the Dynamite Rundown. So catch me anytime on Friday. I'm not sure if it's going to be on noon or at nights. And Bobby, when can we see you on the Dolphins are ramping up, man. People are talking about this young receiving core. Yes. Man, I'm getting hyped.
You should. We first off, for Dolphins content, of course, FTSN, Finstock Sports Network. We got a lot of great content, a lot of great things happening for football fans. Obviously, Fantasy Now Plus continues if you love fantasy football. And of course, Dolphins and pro football, college football's coming up. We're going to have the college football pregame show on Saturdays. For Dolphins content, Thursday night, Finstock Today with Finn Sammy and myself. Real Talk Finstock with Steve Malloy on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, depending. Overtime is coming back as well. And of course, pregame and postgame on Finstock for Dolphin game day. I'm going to tell you again, Josh, very quick. I talk about Dolphins this season. I said, go in there with no expectations, meaning we don't expect anything from this team in regards of wins and whatever, like if you look on paper, no one should have any expectations. But if you're reading what you're seeing in camp and you're seeing the vibe in Miami and you're seeing these young guns, this new era of Dolphins football, that's why I'm excited. I cannot wait to watch Chris Bell when he gets healthy and Caleb Douglas, Malik Willis, Devon Achen, Jonas Savannah at right guard now. Chop Robinson looks like a brand new man. Of course, it's only training camp. We got to see how the regular season's going to look. But when you're first off, Stephen Ross, the owner, he's taking the reins off. He's giving it to his son-in-law, Daniel Silman, who's been very important and busy in sports. And he was the one who brought in Troy Aikman, who came in with a big book and brought in John Eric Sullivan, and who brought in Coach Halfley. Like, this is a new era. We don't have the same old Dolphins running the team. The new leadership at the top, new GM, new coach, new foundation, new organization. Like, it's an exciting time to be a Dolphins fan. Not saying we're going to win this year. We may. I don't think this team's going to tank, but it's just they're starting it out right. So if you're a sports fan or a pro football fan, subscribe to the channel. If you're a Dolphins fan, you better subscribe to the channel because we got a lot of great content coming to FTSN. For No Holds Barred Wrestling, again, Dynamite Rundown on Fridays. You got Real Talk Wrestling on Thursday nights. You got No Holds Barred Wrestling podcast on Saturdays, and special episodes here and there depending on certain topics. Like, is Roman overrated? Is Triple H a utility player? Those are certain shows that
I see. I see what we're gonna do tomorrow. We'll be recording these tomorrow.
So there's some content to be made here. So, there's some different things. So make sure you're looking for that. Once I get back to, get my foot down, we'll get Nitro Rewind continuing and all that. We got a lot of great content here on the No Holds Barred Wrestling channel. So do me a favor, elbow drop that like and subscribe button. Enjoy your day. Good luck tomorrow if you're bringing your kids back to school. And we will see you guys next Saturday. Peace.